Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Natasha Nagra, Resourcing and Talent Director at Valour Hospitality Partners. Coming up on today's show, Natasha reveals her lockdown learning.
Well, I learned that I was slightly neurotic and losing my mind is what I learned.
Phil has a conversation with himself. Have you ever thought about recruitment? Well, until today, I didn't even know it existed. And Natasha tells us about her hard-earned reputation.
Probably forever be the girl that fell almost off the back of the stage.
All that and so much more as Natasha chats us through her story and journey to date. Natasha is one of the greatest champions of this industry, and she's clearly an innovator in the talent attraction space. As two people who care about the human side of the business, there's a lot of stuff in here around that, a subject I think we could both talk all day on. Our chat caps a lovely end to the first part of Season 2 as I'm now heading off for a short break, but we'll be back in the summer for more hospitality shenanigans. In the meantime, please don't forget to give us a like, subscribe and a review. Enjoy! Hello and welcome to the next episode of Hospitality Meets with me, your host, Phil Street. Today's guest, it's fair to say, is very well known within the world of people, and her career so far includes stints out of industry, in industry with contract catering, and now also in industry, still industry, thankfully, within hotels. She's also the co-founder of Hire, which is hospitality's internal recruitment exchange, has won more awards and come up with more initiatives than I've had breakfasts, and now finds herself at the helm of resourcing and talent at Valour Hospitality Management. So I am thrilled to welcome to the show Natasha Nagra.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
It has, yes, it has. How are you?
Yeah, I am really good. Busy, as I think everybody is and everybody relates to at the moment. But I'm glad we've been able to find the time to do this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we spoke just before we switched the microphone on about that word busy. There needs to be we need to reinvent. And there's also, I think there's an element, certainly, I've read so much psychology on the subject about, like, it becomes an automatic response when somebody says to you, "Oh, how are you doing?" "Oh, I'm busy." And you just kind of start believing your own press really on that. But I literally am busy.
I know, that's it. And it's all very important stuff that is a priority. And it's, but it's good. I wouldn't have it any other way, if I'm honest. I thrive and I love working in a fast-paced environment, as many do, you know. Yeah. You have to, I think, to work in hospitality. But yeah, there are moments where I'm going on annual leave this week, and it's the first time I've taken leave since Christmas, and I'm ready for it. But yeah, I'm going to throw myself into it and switch off for a few days.
Yeah, well, extra thanks then for taking time out the week before you go on annual leave, because that's usually more busy than all the other weeks.
Tying everything up, yeah. But,
Great. Well, where are you today? That's a very interesting room.
So this is the Club Lounge at the Crown Plaza in Solihull. So I've snuck away to find a corner, and if you hear any footsteps in the background, I do apologise, but for now it's just us. But yeah, Crown Plaza, that's one of our hotels. At Valour, we operate in the UK 37 hotels, and if you don't know about us yet, that's because I'm still relatively new in my role, and you will find out more about us over time, but you'll probably know more about the brands that we work with and the hotel brands that we operate. So Holiday Inn, Crown Plaza, Doubletree by Hilton, etc. Yeah, and we are a global business. We're based over in the States and in South Africa as well. Just over 50 hotels in total globally. Yeah,
and well, I mean, I've been aware of Valour for many, many years, but it seems like now you guys are really getting some momentum together.
Yeah, I think, with aspirations to get to around 50 hotels in the UK, we're not ever going to be like one of those big, enormous management companies. And the reason why that is that we have I know everybody says this, but we really, really do have a very unique culture that exists at Valour. And I think to protect that and to keep that specialness about us, I think that's kind of our sweet spot at 50 hotels. But yeah, we've grown rapidly. We doubled the size of our portfolio last year along with that strategy to grow our portfolio. And it's a really exciting time to be here. I'm new, as I said. I joined the business in October last year. It's flown by. I feel like I've
hasn't it just
forever, yeah. But yeah, really, really great company. It was really nice for me to be able to continue my experience working within the branded hotel area. It's what I love doing. So to take all that knowledge and come into Valour, who's at a much earlier stage of their journey than where I was previously, is really exciting, and shape that resourcing and employee engagement and employer brand strategy from the beginning. Really, it's been exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, let's get on the journey then, because
Yeah.
let's go all the way back. Because as I mentioned at the top, certainly from what I could see, is that you have had stints out as well as in the industry. How did you end up getting into hospitality in the first place?
Yeah, so I still now, although my remit is very broad and I look after the wider people agenda, I still consider myself at my core to be a recruiter. And like most people who enter into the world of recruitment, it was never an intention. It was a bit of an accident, but yeah, a happy accident in that I studied actually my degree, and then as part of an Erasmus program, I went over to Cyprus, and I came back, and it was the end of my degree, and I suddenly panicked, thinking I studied a very generic degree, and I actually still have no idea what it is that I want to do. So I headed into a recruitment agency and said I desperately need some temp work, and they asked me if I'd ever considered working in recruitment, which I didn't, but with the offer of a job, I jumped at the opportunity. And
Yeah.
very different environment, very sales driven. I loved recruitment, but I hated leaving the candidate at the door, which is why I made the decision to leave and go into the world of internal recruitment. And that's where I started working for the likes of Interserve and Compass Group, so big, complex matrix organisations, building the central recruitment teams within those businesses. And I guess whilst broader hospitality, that's where I kind of got my love for the industry. I think no matter what area in business, hospitality businesses you are, there's like one common thread, which is it's people. It's all about the people.
Isn't
And
it
I love
just?
that. And then, it was after I left Compass Group that I went into Q Green Hotels, and that was my first role within the hotel environment. And I don't think I'll ever leave, if I'm honest. I love, the world of hotels. I love the people that I work with day to day. And, I've been quite fortunate that I've had two opportunities now within the hotel sector to build from scratch an employer brand, what it means to be part of a company, and take that and communicate that with candidates, and build and shape a culture that's attractive to both the new people that you're bringing in, but also improving the experience of those people that work within the business at the moment. So that's kind of how I've got to here and where I am today. So I still do recruitment as part of my role, and people look at me and they say, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, I do a lot of recruitment," and they give me this look where it's almost like they feel sorry for me, but I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's I genuinely love what I do. I think, making a decision to change a job is like one of the biggest decisions that you make in your life. You only make them a few times, right? And I think if you can really influence people to make a decision that's right for them, and they find a place where they belong and they can thrive, you really play a part in changing people's lives, and
Oh,
it's
for
that
sure.
something that will stay with them. So I'll never really want to relinquish that area of responsibility that I've looked after. But yeah, as I say, now my role is much broader. And yeah, we've got a lot of work to do, but it's exciting times.
Yeah, but that's good that you've found that thing that kind of sings to you, because there's a lot of people would go to many different places before they find it. In actual fact, you found it pretty quickly and by chance, actually,
Oh, yeah.
because and you're right when you say it, I don't think anybody goes through their schooling and university and goes, I'm going to be in recruitment. I think it is something that it's the same for me. I mean, I worked on a cruise ship and I didn't even know that recruitment existed. It was all just part of HR back in that day. But I also remember when I came off ships and then started looking for a job on land, that all of the jobs pretty much were being, I don't want to say controlled by, but they were being managed by external recruitment companies. And that was the first experience that I ever had of that. And much like you, a chance conversation that somebody said, "Oh, have you ever thought about recruitment?" Well, until today, I didn't even know it existed. So,
Yeah, that's it. And I think the role of the recruiter has evolved so much. And I'm quite fortunate in that, I do have a lot of marketing experience that I've accumulated along the way. And I would say that the role of a recruiter these days is just as much I guess very aligned to the traditional role of a digital marketer in many respects. It's, who is your persona? Who is that individual that's going to belong in your business? And how do we make sure that we're accurately telling the story that appeals to those individuals and taking that to market? And I think, it's the role has evolved. There's so much noise out there at the moment and everybody's vying for the same talent. And we've got a real opportunity within recruitment to change the way that we do things and communicate differently. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
really enjoy
Well,
it.
the solution to the problem always rests in looking after your own house first, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you've hit the nail on the head for me, and this is something that doesn't get nearly enough discussion time, which is that actually marketing is such a massive part of the overall piece of the jigsaw. Of course, you've got to back up the marketing with actual gumption and actual
Yeah.
strong values and all of these sorts of things that relate to why somebody would want to come and work for you in the first place. But yeah, we need to talk more about marketing, because without that, it's just job advert, or even that's marketing in itself.
Yeah.
Somebody responds, and that, and then the process is beginning from there. But yeah, you can do a lot more to be more proactive on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there for us for sure. And there's new channels are coming up all the time. So I still consider myself to be quite young, but then, I have a almost 13-year-old child who talks about like social networking that I've never heard of before. And I'm like, oh God, like I need to know what this is, because, that it's a growing audience and I need to understand how we can communicate and translate what it means to be here to the new people that are entering into the workforce. So it's ever evolving.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. I feel like this is a subject matter that you and I could talk
I
about,
know.
Rachel, for a long, long time. But
Sure.
I'm interested actually just in terms of how does it work because you said that you manage multiple brands
Yes.
across, all of the kind of the big players in that
Mm.
space. How do you get it so that, because obviously you've got to, I suppose, manage that brand's expectation along with Valour's expectation of what it is to be a Valour person. How does that work?
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest challenges that I face in my roles within the hotel industry. And when I came for my first interview within the hotel sector, incredibly naive and not probably anywhere near as prepared as I should be. I just thought a Holiday Inn was a Holiday Inn and a Crown Plaza was a Crown Plaza, and that was it really. I didn't understand the franchise model to the extent that I probably should have, but that is the reality for a lot of candidates. And actually, what we're trying to convey and communicate and help people understand is that when you come and work in a Valour hotel that's operated under a Holiday Inn brand or a Crown Plaza brand, it's a different experience to the one that they might see 10 miles down the road. And it's as much that education piece and getting that message across that, yes, we've got the expectations of the brands and you'll be working to brand standards, but largely that's a name above the door and a way that we operate. But the culture and the ways of working and the people that exist within the hotels are very much aligned to Valour values and who we are. And we have our own expectations of what great performance looks like that sits above the expectations of the brand. And it's not always easy when you're working in an employer branding space to have to appeal to and meet the expectations of different layers that exist within your employer brand. But yeah, certainly we try. You mentioned adverts earlier. It's we weave it into those adverts, and it's in our marketing. People will see that yes, it's the brand, but it's a Valour hotel, and this is what it means to be part of us. But it's difficult, and I've worked in big businesses previously where it's, people thought the management company was just a payroll company. They had no idea, but Valour are very present. And I talked to you earlier a lot about the unique culture that exists here. And, that does translate. You feel it when you're in one of our hotels. It feels different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you've been there for what, 6 months now? You said October. Is that
Yeah.
6 months? 7-ish months.
Mm.
Yeah, so I suppose that you're literally now at the point of rolling your sleeves up, because
Oh, yeah.
I'd take some time to get used to the people, the ways that, what is being a Valour person, what does all of that mean? But
Oh, yeah.
now the real work begins.
Well, I don't know about that. I was in my interview and my boss was, I talked, what's my onboarding going to be like? And, we all know what it's like in hospitality at the moment, and recruitment is, is insanely busy. And so I said, oh, what's my onboarding going to be like? And she said, onboarding? no, these are your roles. You just get on with it. And it's not true. I had a very thorough onboarding process, and I spent a lot of time in the hotels getting to know the teams. But I did very much get stuck in from day one, and I think that's helpful, having come from a very similar structure and an environment where I understood the brands, and it was just what makes us different here. But yeah, I feel like I've been here for much longer, but I've got a lot of the housekeeping done, and a lot of the things that we needed to get done in the early days, and now it's the time where we can start to look at the bigger ticket items. So working on things like our careers site and our employer brand offer, and how we can take that out to market and start winning lots of awards for all the incredible stuff that we do here. So yeah, it's been a bit of oh my god, there's so much to do, but now we can start to get into the meatier stuff, which is good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, funny you mention awards. I did mention at the beginning of the show around the fact that you seem to make a bit of a habit of winning awards. I'm going to assume that. Well, I was going to assume that you don't set out to do this, but I'm beginning to feel that maybe, yeah, let's do this. Let's go and win awards. Let's show the world how good we are.
Well, it's like everything that you do, we have our objectives. And I think, when you look at employer branding, I think the penultimate objective is to you want to attract the right people into your business, and you want them to have a successful career with you, and that deliver great commercial results for your organization. Yeah, that's one thing, I think, but then also it's like the work that we do, and everything fitting into place. The best way that we can make sure that we get the recognition for that is to win an award for it and be recognized amongst all the other businesses in hospitality that do things really well. So it's not always the intention. The intention is to get it right and deliver the results for the business. But it's always nice to be able to say, "Hey, we won the best recruitment initiative." Maybe that's just a vanity thing. I don't know. I like to be the best. I'm very competitive.
Yeah, but do you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's the thing. Generally speaking, there's a lot of humility in hospitality, and sometimes, well, we definitely need to be better at shouting about how good it is.
Yeah.
So why not shout about how good you've been? Equally, I know that you don't just say, "Well, here's my application." There's a whole process to go through to get to a point where you're even nominated, and then notwithstanding what you have to go through to make sure that you win. So definitely. I mean, I was kind of pulling your leg a little bit earlier on. I admire everything that you've been able to achieve. I actually have them written out here because there's so many of them.
I'm glad we're not on film because my cheeks are going pink.
Yeah, Great Places to Work Accreditation 2022. So that's where you are.
That's correct, yeah.
Yep, excellent. In-house Recruitment Team of the Year at the Caterer.com People Awards in 2019. Excellence in Talent Attraction at the HR and Hospitality Awards. Best use of digital media to attract talent at the Springboard Awards for Excellence in 2019. Best Attraction and Development Initiative at the Springboard Awards for Excellence 2019. It goes on and on and on. So, but yeah, I think the key thing with an award for me is that, as you've quite rightly pointed out, it's actually, one, it's about making sure that you're doing the best possible job that you can. You're clearly an ideas person. You clearly come up with things that work. I'm sure there are ideas that you've come up with that don't work as well, because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
But and I suppose a case in point in that is, and I also mentioned this at the top of the show, and I know that it's on a little bit of a hiatus at the moment, but you founded this thing called Hire.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Hire was born, I guess I was early into the more traditional sense of what hospitality is in the hotel industry, and a little bit isolated in some respects, in that I didn't have a very strong network of individuals of which I could draw on their expertise, and I really wanted to build that. And I kind of put a post out on LinkedIn and asked if anybody wanted to do a bit of a get together, and it escalated. And I realised that there were actually a lot of other people across the industry in recruitment that face similar challenges, who would love the opportunity to get together and share ideas. And yes, we are all competing for the same talent, but I think the biggest challenge that we face as an industry is that we're losing all of our talent to other industries. So coming together and sharing best practice and finding ways to do things that can benefit us all was really key. So I came together with Ollie, who I know you've had on the show previously, and a few others, and Hire was born essentially, and we decided to run a big event and bring together all of the people across the hospitality industry, and it was just a forum to share best practice, to talk about ideas, and to do something good for the industry. And we had a huge first event. We had like over 100 people that came along. We were absolutely blown away. It was incredible. And had the pandemic not come along, that would have continued, and we had the intention of running those things, really frequently. And I'd love to be able to say that Hire was still, in its traditional sense and with its original intention, still alive, but it's not. But we're not running events as such because we're so all incredibly busy. But the networking and the relationships that are built, we're all still in a group together. We all still talk daily. How are you approaching this, and how could we do this differently? And is a recruitment refer a friend scheme worth looking into at this point? And I had a call with somebody in the group this morning who had just returned back from maternity leave and was just looking for a bit of a market overview as to how things are. And I think, more important than anything is that forum still exists, and it's been really helpful. Yeah, and I've met some incredible people through it.
Yeah, I think this is a massive thing for the industry, though, in terms of you just need to go ask, and people will give,
Yeah,
their time, their knowledge, whatever. And actually, yes, you're right. We're all vying for potentially the same people to come and work for us, but actually, we shouldn't be competitive about that. In my view, we and actually sharing best practice and best method. Ultimately, I like to believe that if the company's getting their piece correct and the candidate is in tune with themselves as to what they want, they will always end up in the right place.
oh yeah,
So why be competitive about that? If somebody comes to you and you go through onboarding, and 3 months in they say, do you know what, this is not for me. Let's not be scared of that. That's natural. That's part of life. We can't get things 100% right 100% of the time. But then,
yeah.
to sit in a forum whereby you would have somebody like Ollie, and I think you had, there's another guy that I know whose name
Had and
escapes.
Ology Day, and we had
Yes,
Sophie over at Goucher. Yeah,
yeah, so many, actually, so many.
yeah,
But to be able to sit in a room and share best practice, how do we make all of us better? And almost have this kind of network of like, well, we don't have a role for you now, but I know that these guys over there do,
yes.
and all of that sort of stuff. And that's how we win. There's the cohesion then in the industry that everybody wants to plug together. It's that I've used this word so many times on the show. It's co-opetition.
Oh, I
We're
like that. I've not heard that one
Oh,
before.
that means you haven't listened to the show. That's a
Do you,
mark
no,
off.
I think I must have just listened to ones you didn't use it, but I love that. It's really good.
Yeah, that's not mine, by the way. I nicked that from somebody else.
I'd have
Yeah,
never known you could have taken full credit for that.
yeah. And edutainment, that's the other one. That's a good one. That was Jim Knight,
Oh,
speaker. Yeah, so you educate people through entertainment. That's the
well, I've got a good idea for this. I'm exploring all things around the metaverse at the moment and how we
oh
can
god,
use it to was it you said?
edutain.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. God,
Sticking
the
that.
metaverse. Do you know what? I classify myself as somebody who can keep on top of stuff, like when it comes to tech and all of that. I've never been scared of it, but I literally feel like I get my head around one thing
Oh
and then
yeah.
two more things come along. Like, so I'm behind on TikTok, and now the metaverse is, what the hell is it?
I know it's get yourself an Oculus and get in there and just have a wander around. But I feel the same. The rate of technological advancements. It's kind of scary. I sometimes say I just want to get off the world. It's going too fast.
Yeah,
It's tough, but hopefully it will just continue to improve the lives of our teams, and it will continue to simplify the ways that we do things so that we can concentrate on the things that will never be replaced by technology, which is
yeah,
that emotional connection and those real memorable experiences that are so deep rooted in the interactions that you have with one another. So
absolutely.
we just need to
Yeah,
find the right balance.
tech should be the thing that kind of underpins all of the people stuff,
Yeah,
all of the front stuff, as you say, the emotional connection. It shouldn't be the thing that drives that. It should for me, it should always remain that way around, because there's a real case in point. I remember once upon a time, taking a brief from a client about a role, and they went out to market, found a couple of people, spoke to one person on the phone. They said, "Oh, I actually applied for that role, but got rejected through the applicant tracking system." Just a kind of generic response. I was like, okay, called up my client and said, "Have you had an application from this person? I've never seen their CV in before in my life. Do you want to send them through?" Ended up getting the job, and that's, to me, that was a wonderful. Well, I don't know if I was just, this was my own confirmation bias, just telling me, yes, people win every time.
Oh yeah.
When you do tech
Um,
badly, it gets in the way.
I wish we could, and I have done some work on this previously, and I'm working on a similar project again. But it's like how it's just not right. You know, we assess people for a job in hospitality where the inherent skills we're looking for is being able to engage and communicate and, you know, create those experiences we talked about. And you're trying to assess that on a piece of paper, and it's not right. It's not the way that we should do things. And I've worked on some really amazing projects that includes like gamified assessment and, you know, how do we understand like the core characteristics that make people successful, and just use that as part of your recruitment process. And I think as diversity and inclusion becomes, you know, more at the forefront, and businesses are working harder to try and create representation at all levels of the business, I think hopefully the recruitment industry and the way that we assess people will be right at the heart of some real big changes, I hope. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything, right? Balance.
Yeah,
You can't ignore the tech, but don't let the tech dominate you. It's not your overall answer; it's part of the answer.
exactly. I know, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this has gone a little bit off topic. Actually, I suppose that was always going to happen to people that give a monkeys about people. But
Yes.
yeah, let's go back to you.
Okay.
And but I appreciate everything that you've said, and it was probably inevitable that we were going to get into there at some point, and it's probably a topic that we should probably explore with some other specialists at some point, because I do feel that all of the answers are within us as a collective.
I agree.
We've just got to keep coming together. Anyway, I'm going to
Yeah.
draw a line under that now.
Yeah. Okay.
A question I love to ask everyone, and hopefully you are prepared for this. Have you got any funny stories from your career that you can share with us?
Oh God, I've got so many. I think like the last, I had to laugh because if I didn't laugh, I would cry. But the last, you know, the 18 months, or it might have been shorter than that, it felt like 4 years that the children were at home amidst the pandemic, and I was juggling a very busy, probably the busiest I ever have been, day job, as well as trying to be mum and teacher and all that good stuff. I
Yeah,
was
I
on a
bet you
very,
learned a lot
very,
about yourself
oh
at that
God,
point.
well, I learned that I was slightly neurotic, and yeah, and losing my mind is what I learned. No, but we had some good moments. But I had a very, very serious project call at one point with some of the most senior individuals within our business, and my then 5-year-old son came over my shoulder, and you know there'd been lots of really cute moments where he'd said really cute things, and I thought this is fine, you know, the buy-in from the senior team with all of his cuteness, and he took one look at the screen and said, "Oh, mummy, what do those people look so boring? Why do they look like that?" And I have never been so mortified in my whole entire life. Yeah, and yeah, so that was a fun moment.
Oh,
There were
fabulous.
yeah, I completely lost. I managed to
Your
drown
job.
out. No, no, no. I didn't. I kept my job, but I learned to. I blocked out the sound of my children in the pandemic, and so there were many moments where the people would be like, "What's that sound?" And when I then, you know, tune into what's actually going on in the background of my house, and my children would be, you know, fighting, and one would be screaming the song of Spider-Man on repeat over and over again. But we survived, and they're alive. Just so,
Yeah, and do you know
yeah,
what? Now I think that's the normal part of life. I
yeah,
highlighted the fact that it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. There was that guy who was on BBC once upon a time, and his nanny walked in the kid walked in, and his
yeah.
nanny would try to creep to retrieve the child, and everybody at the time, like, it went viral because it was so out there and that had never happened before on live TV. But now I think we just have to expect that that's part of life. If a lot of people are working from home
Yeah.
normally, and I don't have kids, but I have a dog, and the dog generally likes to sleep for a lot of the day until I get on the phone or on a Zoom
And
or
it's
wherever, and
playtime.
that's the time that
Yeah.
that she wants my attention.
Isn't it so? It's like children and animals, they're not too dissimilar. It's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they say never work with them, don't they? Never work with children and animals because you can't mold them into what you need them to do.
Oh, well, I heard an interesting stat the other day, actually, and they said that if you put an animal, primarily a cat or a dog, in any of your marketing, and so I'm considering this, how do we get cats and dogs in my recruitment marketing? People are like 70% more likely to make a purchase.
I quite believe it. I quite believe it because for the dog owners amongst us are crazy people, and I
No,
say that as one, you know. And who's not attracted to a video on Facebook, Instagram, wherever,
it's
of
true.
a cute dog doing something cute and silly?
This is true. But I wish my previous colleague shared the same sentiment when being shouted at by my child that they look extremely boring. But
And
that's not
Natasha,
why I
can
left
we
my last
can
company,
we
by
have a
the way.
word?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
no,
go.
indeed. I think it was the very first recruitment job that I had. I think we used to have pictures of meerkats in our candidate marketing because it
Really?
was yeah
Ah,
because and I think the guy who owned the business at the time was a massive advocate for just throwing a picture of an animal into his marketing because he said, as you've just said, he said there's some studies being done around the fact that people are more likely to engage with it if there's an animal, which I don't
people
know what
like
that says about us.
animals more than people. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we should probably park that one there, shouldn't we?
And we digress again. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, no, indeed. That's a kind of running theme on this show. So that's all good. I know you don't want to talk about terrifying, so let's go to stupid.
Oh God.
What's the
Yeah.
stupidest thing you've done so far in your career? There will be more. This is
I
not
probably
breaking news.
I probably shouldn't say this just in case there are any like future prospective like employers that actually listen to this. But like a lot of my friends refer to me as being like smart stupid. So they say I'm highly intelligent, really book smart, but I'm lacking a little in that common sense department. And I've got lots of stories of where that's the case. I have gone to Starbucks and asked for a dining coffee and attempted to put the coffee with no lid in the mug in my handbag, as I would usually with my takeout coffee. That's happened, embarrassing, at the front of the queue. I have. I've fallen off stages. So I given the opportunity to present an award at an award ceremony one year, and I was super excited. I'm like, yes, this is such a prestigious opportunity. It's great. I get to get a new dress. I get to get up on the stage, and I did like a full blown. I am tumbling. My arms are flapping.
Oh
I am the bird trying to save myself
God.
off the back of the stage. I've had those moments. So where I worked then, they will never forget me. I'll probably forever be the girl that fell almost off the back of the stage. But yeah, I'd say those are pretty up there. I've got loads of
Yeah.
them.
Well, I think we all have. I think we all have. And that reminded me of a time I used to work for a company called Portfolio,
Yeah.
who are no longer Portfolio, but we used to do an end of year awards ceremony. And I'd stupidly once upon a time told somebody that I'd once wrote and performed 2 stand-up comedy shows, and to varying degrees of success, I should add. So that led to somebody saying, "Well, you're definitely going to be the compere then for our awards ceremony." And I was like, "Look, hey, let's do it. It'll be fun. It'll be
Yeah.
fun." And of course, you get nervous as hell doing anything like that. I get less nervous these days for that sort of thing, but this is now like 10+ years ago. And there was a section I had in the show which I completely nicked from another stand-up comedian, which was around you got to at the beginning of the show you've got to move around the stage to find the funniest part of the stage, and that usually that line just gets you a laugh just because everybody goes, that's quite clever, yeah, very
Yeah.
very good. So basically what happened at that point is that I was on the stage and I like to move around at the beginning to find the funniest part of the stage, and took a step to the side and fell off. So
No,
of course everybody was roaring with laughter,
and you're like, this
because
is
they
fun.
thought I'd meant to do that.
I'd be like,
But
oh, of course. At least you had an out. I'm just the clumsy girl from HR who fell off the back of the stage.
I think we all have these moments, though. We all have these moments. I remember my first trip to Dubai and going to Atlantis the Palm
Yeah.
and being so mesmerized by the arrival that I got out the taxi and left my phone and everything in the taxi.
Oh, no.
But of all the countries to leave stuff in taxis, that is the best country to leave stuff in taxis because it was back with me 20 minutes later.
Oh, their service over there is insane. It's interesting. I spent Dubai was my where I spent my birthday in December, and I spent my birthday there at Atlantis, the park, which was lovely.
Really?
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible over there. They do it well, don't they?
But yeah, oh, unbelievable. And that moment I stepped out the taxi was straight out of an adventure movie, where you just look.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
it's another
yeah,
world. Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah. So, did I digress there? Of course I did.
Yeah.
Um,
We can do that.
Actually, you made a point in the first story, I think it was, which I think is absolutely bang on, is that actually as employers, we've got to stop looking for perfect.
Oh yeah.
We've Because it's not there, right? So we've got to start appreciating the quirks and individuality of people, and the fact that their differences bring something to the table. We can't go cookie cuttering
Oh yeah.
everyone.
I agree. I think, we talk a lot about culture fit, and actually, I'm more, I think people should share values and, three or four values that, bring people together that people share is really important when you're looking to build a culture. But actually, when you're hiring, I think that as well as that, you should always be looking at that whole culture add piece and, what unique things does this person bring to a role, and, where can they get involved in bringing something new that we haven't had previously. I think that that's so important and something that we don't do enough.
Yeah,
We've got, I hate job descriptions. I know they're important and they give a list of responsibilities, but that whole person specification, that, if you've got 10 things that you're looking for in a person, it's too stuffy. It's not right. I think, yes, you need some key requirements and capabilities, but let's just think a little bit differently about what we're doing. And
well, it's the old adage of if you keep doing what you've always done, you always get what you always got, right? And it's the same. We're if we're all complaining about the same thing, which is that there are a lack of people generally out
yeah,
there, then what are we going to do differently? Because it's not worked to this point.
yeah, for sure. I think we've got a big task on our hands as employers, and there are still a lot of misconceptions that exist within the industry. People think it's just long hours, it's poor pay, you can't build a career, and it's actually not true. Like, as there are in every single industry, there are experiences of people that could say that that has been the case for them, but actually I don't see it. Across the businesses that of people that I know that work within them, it's such a rewarding industry and so much opportunity to grow and progress. But I think we need to do more to communicate that and change that perception. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. Back to you. Uh,
Okay.
what's next? This is an easier one. Obviously you're going on leave soon, but what does the next year have in store for you and Valour?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about how we start to tap into what's super important to people now, because it gives me an opportunity to get involved in things that I haven't done previously. So we know that people are more driven by purpose, are more driven by, that whole how businesses are prioritizing the planet and its people over just profit. And so I've recently joined our sustainability team here at Valour, which is an entirely new area of specialism for me. But it gives me the opportunity to start to look at how we can shape employee experience around people's desire to be in a company that does good for the world. So, we've set an aspiration that as an organisation, we want to be, the only footprint that we want to leave is one in the sand, which is incredible. But then there's a lot of work that needs to be done to getting us there. So not historically perhaps something that sits within your HR agenda, but as people have started to prioritise that, it gives me selfishly a really great opportunity to kind of explore that, and I'm really excited about that. And that will form a key part of Valour's employee offer, which is my priority at the moment. We do some really incredible stuff. I still find out things every day that surprise me in terms of what they think is completely normal and that everybody in the industry does, but I know that that's not the case. And
Right.
So I already had something really amazing to work with, but I guess continuing to shape and evolve that so that we can, keep our people, develop them, and build more, bring more people into the business. I'm hoping that we might win some more awards as well because it's been a while.
No,
Um,
no,
so,
I know.
I know, that's it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think that's the priority for me. Really, I need to and travel on a personal level. I need to use up some of that annual leave because playing up catch up to over those last few years. I think I've got at least 17 holidays I need to book, but nowhere near enough time
yeah.
to do it. Yeah.
Well, but my list keeps getting longer and not shorter of places that I need to go. But yeah, actually, I mean, even just from the mental capacity perspective, taking breaks is as important as putting the hammer down and doing some
Oh God, yeah.
some serious work. So no, I would imagine that you've definitely earned it.
Oh God, yeah. No, and I'm lucky because Valour is so great. That whole health and well-being piece is really core to our offer here. And it's I'll be at work and my boss is like, "Oh, just head to the gym or go and have a run in the afternoon," which is amazing. And they sound like really small little things, but I think everybody kind of leads with that mentality, and sometimes it's just those little simple things that make a huge difference. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we've got to find time to take a break when we're as manic as we are. So
Absolutely. If I ever have a hotel, I'll have a room that has sleep pods for staff because that would just be that's my idea of what I need at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes
and
it's
that
just that 20 minute
21
nap.
minutes, yeah, optimum time.
Yeah, but and the thing is that there's an awful lot of companies resist stuff like that because they'll stay at your desk, keep blasting whatever you need to do, but ultimately you don't get the best out of the human. You've got to be trying to make their life as easy as possible so that their performance is as good as possible.
I agree, and it's like so we talk a lot in the hotel industry about the need from a guest perspective that they want like hyper personalization, and that's like a real key thing for them. But then you know, our employee experience should be no different to our guests. Their desires are exactly the same. So like what motivates and engages one person is entirely different to the other. So how we can personalize our offer for every single individual is a real focus for us. And like you say, if someone wants to log off to take a productivity nap, like they should be able to do that. And because what motivates and drives performance and makes them feel happy at work is different for everybody.
Yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. And now you know what I need if I ever come and work for you. But
Oh no, I
there
hope
we
you're
are.
not saying like right now after this call because I
No.
think it's sleep rather than it being a productivity nap. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Final question before I let you get on your merry way. What would be your top three reasons as to why somebody should join hospitality?
Yeah, I think I've touched on it a little bit, but
You definitely
despite
have.
what people think, you can absolutely forge a career here. I think if, and this probably speaks more so to young people entering into the industry, but I don't think that they're aware that if they come in and get their head down, by the time they're sort of in their, 30s, they can be earning over 100 grand a year as a general manager. Like it's very easily done,
Yeah.
if they set out with an intention. I don't think that they think that's a possibility. And it's actually probably one of the most flexible businesses that you can work in. Long are the days that you're working like really long hours. We've got people that just work hours around, school pickups and drop-offs. It's not what people think it is.
Mm,
Sure, there are still some businesses that it's like that, but if you find somewhere that actively promotes flexibility, which a lot of businesses do, it's really great for people that are looking for that second opportunity alongside a side hustle, or people that've got children or other commitments. It's that's a real key reason why I think we're a great industry. And then the others is that it's one of the very few industries that very easily opens up opportunities wherever you want to go in the world. Like there are hotels everywhere, so you can pick
yeah,
any place that you want to go anywhere in the world, and you can go, and the world literally is your oyster. So yeah.
absolutely. Don't forget the fun. That's the one for me.
That's
It's
true. It's fun, people. It's yeah, I'd agree, and
yeah,
it's great. And this is for as well. And I think one of the other things I'm looking a lot into at the moment is around. We talk about diversity and inclusion, but there's the whole piece around people that have got neurodivergent traits, so like ADHD and dyslexia, and some people that perhaps like based on how they experience those things, sitting behind a desk for 9 hours a day is like their idea of hell. So this opportunity, like the opportunities within a hotel, are perfect for people that are looking for anything that's outside of the realms of a normal office job. It's great, you're on your feet and you're amongst people and it's fun and it's lively, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Absolutely. Superb. Great stuff. Well, if people want to get a hold of you to learn about Valour, learn about you, just chew the fat generally about hospitality, what's the best method for them to do that?
so LinkedIn for mostly all things professional, but just I try and keep it like personal. But then also, if you want to find me on Instagram, I am also on there, although I will post holiday pictures and latte art. So, but if those are the type of things
Oh
that float
dear.
your boat, you can find me
You've
there
lost me
too.
now.
Yeah. There you go.
Excellent. Great stuff. Well, look, thank you very much for coming and sharing your story, and good luck with your leave and beyond. It sounds like you've got a really, really interesting time ahead of you,
Yeah.
and
So much
looking
fun.
forward to seeing what you come up with.
Thanks so much, Phil. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Take care. Bye-bye. And there we have it. Natasha is a shining star of this industry, and I'm so delighted to have gotten some time with her. It's yet another wonderful story from hospitality. As mentioned at the top of the show, I'm now heading off on a short break, but we'll be back in the summer with more stories from hospitality. In the meantime, have a listen through our back catalogue. There's bound to be some stories of interest. Please also continue to like and share as far as you can, and I'll see you later in the year.